that we are aware of plots by minority ethnic groups in the Middle Belt to attack Fulani settlements. D. That we have asked all Fulani across West Africa to raise money and arms to prosecute the oncoming war. We call on all Fulanis to prepare for this holy war. There is no going back. All over the world, Nigeria is the only country given to Fulani by God.
Oh yeah?
God punished them.
Here's something. This was a press conference held in Kanu. And this is important. It is before the media, it's on social media. E. We oppose anti-grazing laws which obstruct the ability of Fulani to move freely and stay anywhere in Nigeria. The Fulani, if not for the British, would have actually conquered the entire Nigeria which God has ordained as our dominion. That the cattle colony is the only solution to the crisis. You remember when the federal government brought the issue of cattle colony and Ruga, which we resisted here in Benue State. Whether the federal government or state government accept it or not, we must ask all Fulani herdsmen all over West Africa to move to Nigeria to penetrate every corner for the upcoming jihad. You see the reason?
Yes.
We have asked them to be armed, since it seems it is the only language that Nigerians understand. The Nigerian government has failed to protect us. So you see the narrative. We want those who oppose Fulani cattle trade to be cautious of the consequences. We are ready for the worst. We are prepared for war. There is hope for peace if and only if attacks on Fulani herdsmen stop and the Fulani is allowed to settle anywhere that the Fulani choose to settle in Nigeria. We are Nigerians and are free to settle anywhere we desire with our culture, our families, our commerce, and our values to the glory of Almighty Allah. Any attempt or attempts to reverse this demand will be met with holy uprising never before seen in the history of Nigeria, and in the scale compared to only with the 1804 jihad. A word is enough for the wise. The Fulani is capable of defending itself. Signed, Badu Salisu Amadu, National President, and Secretary Umar Ami Shehu. There are many others that they did. This one I won't read them, but just read the headings or the provocation that these people have been given. One of it here, they say, Benue belongs to Fulani herdsmen by right of conquest. Benue have never been conquered by any Fulani man, as far as we're concerned, and as far as history is concerned. The jihad of 1804 was stopped here in Benue State. We did not allow it to go. Recent killings and national uproar made today in Kanu, the capital of Kanu State. Amongst other things, the Funam deliberated on attacks on cattle by rustlers, kidnapping of Fulani men and women in some parts of Nigeria, displacement of Fulani traditional settlements in the northern Nigeria and some parts of southern Nigeria, stealing of properties belonging to the Fulani cattle owners, amongst other issues. The group also deliberated on the political situation in Nigeria occasioned by the irresponsible calls for restructuring of Nigeria and historic and vicious attack on Fulani people by southern nationalities and their cohorts in the Middle Belt. The plot to ensure Fulani are pushed out to backbench in the power equation in Nigeria, and above all, the vicious campaign against the God-ordained place of Fulani as a leading star guard in Nigeria. And after extensive deliberation, we hereby make the following declaration. Listen very well. A. The killings in Benue State of the chief is well deserved. It was a revenge attack on series of onslaught on the Fulani, which most parodies on November 17, 2017, where 30 Fulani men and women were killed in Nasarawa State. We noticed the recalcitrant culture of the chief people as demonstrated even in the 1804 jihad, when they obstructed our ordained conquest of Nigeria. B. We condemn the media propaganda again to wage war against the Fulani and supported by Yoruba Igbo and their bigotry allies in the Middle Belt. That we are aware of plots by minority ethnic groups in the Middle Belt to attack Fulani settlements. D. That we have asked all Fulani across West Africa to raise money and arms to prosecute the oncoming war. We call on all Fulanis to prepare for this holy war. There is no going back. All over the world, Nigeria is the only country given to Fulani by God.
Oh yeah? God punish them.
Here's something. This was a press conference held in Kanu. And this is important. It is before the media, it's on social media. E. We oppose anti-grazing laws which obstruct the ability of Fulani to move freely and stay anywhere in Nigeria. The Fulani, if not for the British, would have actually conquered the entire Nigeria which God has ordained as our dominion. That the cattle colony is the only solution to the crisis. You remember when the federal government brought the issue of cattle colony and Ruga, which we resisted here in Benue State. Whether the federal government or state government accept it or not, we must ask all Fulani herdsmen all over West Africa to move to Nigeria to penetrate every corner for the upcoming jihad. You see the reason?
Yes.
We have asked them to be armed, since it seems it is the only language that Nigerians understand. The Nigerian government has failed to protect us. So you see the narrative. We want those who oppose Fulani cattle trade to be cautious of the consequences. We are ready for the worst. We are prepared for war. There is hope for peace if and only if attacks on Fulani herdsmen stop and the Fulani is allowed to settle anywhere that the Fulani choose to settle in Nigeria. We are Nigerians and are free to settle anywhere we desire with our culture, our families, our commerce, and our values to the glory of Almighty Allah. Any attempt or attempts to reverse this demand will be met with holy uprising never before seen in the history of Nigeria, and in the scale compared to only with the 1804 jihad. A word is enough for the wise. The Fulani is capable of defending itself. Signed, Banu Salisu Amani, National President, and Secretary Umar Ami Shehu. There are many others that they did. This one I won't read them, but just read the headings or the provocation that these people have been given. One of it here, they say, Benue belongs to Fulani herdsmen by right of conquest. Benue have never been conquered by any Fulani man, as far as we're concerned, and as far as history is concerned. The jihad of 1804 was stopped here in Benue State. We did not allow it to go.
Major talks about killing your premier. Add on top of that the North's general hate of the East, and you can start to get the picture of the sort of tribal tension Nigeria was heading towards.
One thing I've noticed, Premier, while I've been here, is that Northerners seem to have, I might almost call it, obsession about the Igbos. Could you perhaps explain that to me?
Well, the Igbos are more or less the type of people whose desire is mainly to dominate everybody. If they go to a village, to a town, they want to monopolize everything in that area. If you put them in a labor camp as a laborer, within a year they will try to emerge as headman of that camp, and so on. Well, in the past, our people were not alive to their responsibilities, because you can see from our northernization policy that in 1952, when I came here, there weren't 10 northerners in our civil service here. Then I tried to have it northernized, and now all important posts are being held by northerners.
Is this policy of filling all key posts in the north solely with northerners and not with other Nigerians a temporary or permanent one?
In actual fact, what it is a northerner first. If you can't get a northerner, then we take an expatriate like yourself on contract. If we can't, then we can employ another Nigerian, but on contract too. This is going to be permanent, I should say, as far as I can foresee, because it will be rather dangerous to see the number of boys who are now turning from all our learning institutions, coming out with having no work to do. I'm sure whichever government of the day might be, it will feel rather embarrassed, and it might even lead to bloodshed.
Doesn't this damage the idea, sir, of all people in all regions in Nigeria being fellow citizens of one country?
Well, it might, but you are, new to our region, but how many northerners are employed in the east or in the west? The answer is no. And if there may be 10 laborers employed only.
Another Savior, holy, 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 another Savior, holy, 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 holy,
Well, this is Mobiel. This is dedicated to the gallant heroes of the Nigerian Biafra War and IPF families all over the world. I remember the Nigerian Biafran War, in the thickness of the Biafra genocide. Hey, one man revived the vanishing hope to life. Let the great Biafran army to fight, and they were singing out. Holy, 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 it's another Savior. They were singing out. Holy, 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 all will never do. It's another Savior. Holy, 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 all will never do. It's another Savior. Many years after the genocide, whoa, yet another great leader has risen up now. Oh, and he's leading the Biafrans to victory. Yamadika, Yabika, Kakwana, no, hey, when I'm singing along. Holy, 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 Nnamdi Kanu, it's another Savior. Just sing along. Holy, 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 Nnamdi Kanu, it's another Savior. When I sing along. Holy, 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 holy. Getting right and getting on fast now. Holy, 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 it's another Savior. Holy, holy, getting me right, holy, never freedom. It's another Savior. Never freedom. Holy, 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 Nnamdi Kanu, it's another Savior.
The whole wide world will welcome the rising sun. Here comes the time for everyone to see that what will be. This is the time for you and I to stand together as one. Yeah, they will know. The sun is rising. east to west, from north to south. Can't you see the sun is rising? All the way you fly, and be proud of who you are. Because the sun is rising. It's shining so bright all over the world. We are the sun, we are rising. We spent our lives in pain and misery. Never gonna trade our freedom with any mystery. It's affecting our soul and it's killing us slow. With what we've been through, we are far from being good, but we are blessed by Jupiter Brahma. So we're never gonna give up. We're never gonna give up. There'll be light in the end of the tunnel. So shine so bright all time. The whole wide world will embrace us. Nobody can stop us, nobody can cage us, nobody can stand us, yeah. They will know, they will know. The sun is rising. From east to west, from north to south. Can't you see the sun is rising? All your way you fly, and be proud of who you are. Because the sun is rising. It's shining so bright all over the world. We are the sun, we are rising. The windows and curtains, green light be revealing. When I think about how blessed we are, goosebumps all over my body. Sunrise to the black stripe, black strands posing gray stripes. Clashes upon clashes, many lives come to ashes. When I ponder one reminisce, the actions I see in Alice. Lord on the ground, this is how we fly. Our beautiful flag, all around the world. Lord on the ground, this is how we fly. Our beautiful flag, all around the world. We go carry the cross together, we walk through to Zion. We stumble, we'll rise. How the victory was it's the wind from every side. Can't you see the sun is rising? It's the way you fly all over the world. Because the sun is rising. It's still shining so bright all over the world. We are the sun, we are rising. They will know, they will know, they will know. The sun is rising. We can fly anywhere you are. It's just the sun is rising. The sun is rising. Freedom, yeah. The sun is rising.
Hey, hey, hey. Onye dona nwa gaka n'ọdụ, mọdụ ma nwụrụ anwụ. Eastern Security Network, ọkwa ha nọrọ onwe ha, ndị abịa eburu ọgụ wee bịaba. Ndị na-eche Biafra che, ọkwa ha nọrọ onwe ha, ndị abịa eburu ọgụ wee bịaba. Mana ọ bụ gịnị ka anyị na-anụzi? Ndị amị ha nọ n'ọsọ. Ọ bụ gịnị ka anyị na-anụ? Ndị amị ha nọ n'ọsọ. Akwa onye ọbụla nọ n'ọsọ. Ndị amị ha nọ n'ọsọ. Na ndị amị biko ejene jene jene. Ndị amị biko ejene jene jene. Ndị amị ejebe. Egbusizienu ndị amị ụmụ ụwa eje na-atụ onye ụta brọda m. N'ekwughị ekwu mere ọnụ gị nọ meloti ọkụkọ ntị ike na ife n'idobe. Eastern Security jisie n'ike n'ọlụ. Ndị na-eche Biafra jisie n'ike n'ọlụ. Ife salụ fame anyị enwe mmeri. Ọ bụ gịnị ka anyị na-anụzi? Ndị amị ha nọ n'ọsọ. Ọ bụ gịnị ka anyị na-anụzi? Ndị amị ha nọ n'ọsọ. Ọ bụ gịnị ka a na-akọzi ifenu? Ndị amị ha nọ n'ọsọ. Onye mana nwa gị aka n'ọdụ, onye bana nwa gị aka n'ọdụ onye bana nwa gị aka n'ọdụ ma ọ dị ndụ ma ọ nwụrụ anwụ ọ bụ gịnị ka anyị na-anụzi ndị amị ha nọ n'ọsọ ọ bụ gịnị na-eme n'ọlụ ndị amị ha nọ n'ọsọ ọ bụ gịnị na-emenụ n'ime obodo ndị amị ha nọ n'ọsọ ọ bụ gịnị na-eme n'ọlụ ndị amị ha nọ n'ọsọ Chukwu okike bịa amaghị amama amasị amasị anyị ma na ịnọ n'ọlụ isi ike n'ọlụ ọma gị n'oge ikele anyị isi ike n'ọlụ ọma gị n'oge ikele anyị ọ bụ gịnị ka anyị na-anụzi ndị amị ha nọ n'ọsọ ọ bụ gịnị ka anyị na-anụzi ndị amị ha nọ n'ọsọ kedu ife na-eme n'ọlụ ndị amị ha nọ n'ọsọ ọ bụ gịnị ka a na-akọzi ndị amị ha nọ n'ọsọ weburutu bekene mụ na ndị ekene ezi ọha ma dike Mazi Nnamdi Kanu ifi na-eme doro gị anya ifi na-eme doro gị anya ọrụ na-alụ doro gị anya ọrụ na-alụ doro gị anya Mazi Nnamdi Kanu isi ekwu ike n'ọrụ ọma gị azụ gị n'azụ isi ike n'ọrụ ọma gị ewe mmeri isi ike n'ọrụ ọma gị ifi na-eme dị anyị mma obi agbawala ndị bịara igbusi ụmụnna anyị na ndị amị bike jene 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 ndị amị bike jene 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 ndị amị ejebe egbusizienu ndị amị ụmụ oweje na-atọ onye ụtọ brọda m na-ekwughị ekwu melanụ ekwanụ gị nọmelụ ntị ọkụkọ ntị ike na n'ife n'itofe aka m bụkwa nwanne unu nwoke Samuel nwanna ga ọ ga-adịrị unu na mma wedịkwarụ m ụmụ Chukwu okike abịa ma enwere ofe obi anyị ga-enweta ife anyị na-achọ brother mo thank you I'm saying your brother Samuel
Nzọgbu Enyimba, Zọgbu Kwakwanso Enyimba, Nzọgbu Enyimba, Zọgbu Sanusi Enyimba, Nzọgbu Enyimba, Zọgbu Tinubu Enyimba, Nzọgbu Enyimba, Zọgbu Amechi Enyimba, Nzọgbu Enyimba, Rocha Sokorota Enyimba, Zọgbu ya Enyimba, Nzọgbu Enyimba, Nzọgbu Nzọgbu. Nzọgbu Boko Haram Enyimba, Nzọgbu Enyimba, ụwa zuru ike Enyimba, Zọgbu ya Enyimba, Zọgbu ha Awụsa Fulani Enyimba, Zọgbu ha Enyimba, Enyimba, Nzọgbu Nzọgbu Enyimba, Nzọgbu Enyimba. Ole mgbe mụ na nwanne m dera abịrị ego ife ajụ narịra anyị ewo mụ na nwanne m dera nwanne pụta n'ụzọ ree nwanne ka anyị tigbuo Hausa ndị na-amara Chukwu tigbuo ha zọgbuo ha zona ka anyị tigbuo Hausa ndị na-amara Chukwu tigbuo ha zọgbuo ha zona chukwu tiwa tọgbọ tọla anyị tiwa ụsa ndị na-amara chukwu tiwa tọgbọ tọla ka anyị tiwa ụsa ndị na-amara chukwu ndị na-amaghị chukwu obi ama ndị na-amaghị chukwu okike mụ ndị na-amaghị chukwu na dị ndụ ndị na-ekweteghị na chukwu ọba ma bụ chi n'ọbụ ya bụ chi kere anyị ka anyị tiwa ụsa ndị na-amara chukwu ndị na-akpịsị ala anya arụsị ndị na-amaghị chukwu obi ya ndị na-amaghị chukwu okike ha ọla mgbe mụ na nwanne m gere ahụ nwanne m pụta n'ụzọ were m ife ajụnarịrị anyị maka ire ego o ji rụọ anyị otu aka bibili human rights chọrọ itiri anyị nyere ọcha tokorocha otu akụwa zuru ike chọrọ itiri anyị nye Goodluck Jonathan mana Chineke ya bịa ịma na Chukwu okike na dị onye nyere anyị Nnamdi Kanu Joshua of our time Nnamdi wetie mkpu n'okobo si Chukwu ọbịa ma ị ga n'ome.
On the surface of this very planet Earth, today is the very first day of March in the year of Most High Elohim 2021. The time now is 3 minutes past 7 p.m. in the blessed land of Biafra, and exact 3 minutes past the top of the hour, regardless of where you are. We welcome you to this program this very day. As I told you a while back that I shall be broadcasting every 2 days, and that is exactly what we are doing, because events and things are happening, or should I say unfolding, at a very rapid pace in the damnable zoological republic. And for that very singular reason, we need to keep our people up to speed and make them aware of what is going on. Today, as I welcome you, endeavor to welcome other people as well. Facebook is not allowing us to stream on my official Facebook page. It is not even allowing me to stream on the fan page either. They have decided that the money, the blood money that the Fulani Janjaweed gave to them is far more better than doing that which is right before God and before man. Allow me to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to some of you. This is Radio Biafra. We are transmitting live and direct to the entirety of humanity. It's a live presentation. If the time where you are is not 5 minutes past the top of the hour, then you're listening to a repeat program. My name is Nnamdi Kanu. I am the leader of the largest mass movement on the face of this very earth, bar none, the glorious indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB. I am the director of Radio Biafra, that very platform that is responsible for arousing, or should I say, awakening the consciousness of the people right across the damnable zoological republic, that has made it possible for us this day to stand up to face our collective enemy, Fulani Janjaweedism. And also the director of Radio Biafra, not only that, also Biafra Television. And more importantly, by the very special grace of the Most High Elohim, a servant of the wonderful people of Biafra, we have come to do that for which we have been born. We have come that Biafra may be restored. We have come that our enemies may understand that we are the chosen children of light. We have come to let them become aware of the fact that we are no longer going to run away from our identity, from who we are. We are going to proclaim it loudly and very clearly, and the whole world is going to listen. This evening, please, as I said, you can participate by going to my Twitter handle at Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. We are on Twitter. This is streaming on Twitter. I can see it here. It's confirmed. Or you can all go to University of Radio Biafra on YouTube and listen to us. University of Radio Biafra on YouTube. We are live there. I believe that we are also live and direct on IPOB Community Radio. It never fails. We are live also on Radio Biafra app. These are applications. We are also live on TuneIn and a whole host of others as well. Not forgetting that some people who are fortunate are listening to us via FM right across the length and breadth of Biafra land and also some parts of Oduduwa land. We are also on satellite. On any of those, you'll be able to listen to us this very evening. I welcome you once again, but before I proceed, as it has become customary for us here on this platform, we must pray. We must give glory to the Most High Elohim. After the songs of praise, a very exciting songs of praise and worship a few days ago, we are here once again offering all that we are to the Almighty in heaven. And I will, of course, pray in the language of heaven itself. That very language with which the angels venerate, adore, and worship our Creator, our Lord and our God, Elohim Adonai El Shaddai, Tamuno, Abasembong, Chukwu Kikabia Mapurumi Henine in heaven. Ezenden so, onye notupu mbewe malite, onye ọ bụ naanị ya sitere n'okwu ọnụ nke ya wee kee ihe niile nke mmadụ dị ndụ bụ. Onye ọ bụ naanị ya bụ ama macha onye dị omimi wee karịa nghọta ndị onye nwa kere. Otuto ka anyị na-eto gị, nsọpụrụ ka anyị na-asọpụrụ, anyị bịakwa n'ihu gị nna nke ebere na-ebutara gị ozi ekele, nsọpụrụ ịja mma, otuto ikpu isi ala ka anyị na-enye gị n'ihi na enweghị chi ọzọ ma ọ bụghị naanị gị. Mmeso ọma gị n'ime ndụ anyị karịrị akarị, agbanyeghị ihe na nke anyị onwe anyị na-agabiga, agbanyeghị mkpagbu niile nke ndị iro, agbanyeghị mgbe niile ka ha na-agba ka ha wee megide ndị nsọ. Onye nwe m na Chineke nna, ịhụnanya gị na ebe anyị karịrị akarị n'ihi na anyị bụ ụmụ gị. Ikere anyị iwe kee ihe iwe si na ọ bụ site n'aka ụmụ gị a bụ ndị Biafra ka ụwa niile ga-eji wee mara n'ezie na ọ bụ naanị gị bụ Chineke nna nke pụrụ m ihe niile. N'ihi na Biafra ga-abịara na nke a bụ nkwa nke gị onwe gị kwere, nna nke ebere dị ngọzi. N'ihi na okwu niile bụ ihe na amen. O nweghị okwu ọbụla nke gị onwe gị kwuru, nna nke igwe, nke na-abịaghị na mmezu. Agbanyeghị otu isi wee na-ewe igwe, anyị anaghị ezo ya ezo na anyị onwe anyị bụ ndị mmehie, nna nke ebere dị ngọzi. N'ụzọ niile dị iche iche ka anyị onwe anyị si wee mejọọ gị site na akparamagwa, okwu ma ọ bụ echiche, kama na ọ bụghị bụ naanị Chineke nna nke na-agbaghara mmehie. Wee na-arịọkwa gị n'ụbọchị nketa ka iwee gbaghara anyị mmehie, ma ọ nweghị ihe ọzọ. Kwere abụ ọma nke anyị bụrụ gị, otuto nke anyị toro gị, mbuli elu nke anyị buliri aha nsọ gị n'ụbọchị Sabat gara aga, nna nke ebere. Anyị wee na-asị na onweghị ihe anyị bụ ewezuga gị. Mba ọzọ nwere ike ị na-eme ihere ikwupụta mmeso ọma gị, Chineke nna nke igwe, na anyị onwe anyị bụ ndị dị ndụ n'ala nke ndị dị ndụ, bụ ụmụ gị, bụ ndị Biafra. O nweghị ihe ọbụla nke anyị onwe anyị bụ ewezuga Chineke nna nke bi n'igwe. O nweghị ihe ọbụla anyị wụ. N'ihi nke dị ka anyị nwanyị si wee kweghị na nkwa na anyị ga-eguzo n'ihu igwe mmadụ n'ụwa niile wee kwupụta ịhụnanya gị n'ebe anyị nọ, bụ nke anyị onwe anyị na-eme n'ụbọchị nketa, ihe na ụwa niile gburugburu mba dị iche iche na-ege anyị ntị n'olu. Anyị wee na-aja gị mma wee na-eto gị, na-asị na Biafra nyekwara anyị na ọ bịakwara nna nke igwe. Ọ bụ ka ịma mma gị wee pụta ihe n'ime ndụ anyị. Anyị wee na-asị biko na wezuga anyị n'aka ajọ ihe, bịa ka ihere wee bụrụ nke ndị iro, ka anyị si wee na-arịọ gị. Ndị na mgbe akpọkụrụ gị na mgbe ikpete maazị wee sị gị nna nke dị nsọ, biko kwe ka aka nsị ndị iro wee baa ha ọnụ, o wee baa ha ọnụ, ha wee na-egbuchirịta onwe ha. N'ụbọchị nke taa bụ na Sokoto ka ha jiri onwe ha wee lee onwe ha n'iyi, nna nke igwe. Ndị abịara ka ha wee gbuo ụmụ gị otu aka si wee gbuo onwe ha. Anyị wee na-asị n'ime ọnọdụ anyị niile anyị ga-enye aha nsọgote na nsọpụrụ na ịja ama, n'ihi na Biafra bịakwa na-abịa nna nke ebere dị ngọzi. Anyị na-asị na anyị ga-enye aha nsọgote na nsọpụrụ na ịja ama nke pụrụ iche onye nwe m na Chineke nna nke igwe, ka ọ ga-abụ site n'ebighị ma ruo n'ebighị, abụrụ niile ọgbọ niile nke ga-abịa ga-asị n'ezie na Chineke nna nke bi n'igwe bụ Chineke nna nke ndị Biafra. Anyị wee na-asịgote na nsọpụrụ wedere aha nsọ gị site n'ebighị ma ruo n'ebighị ka anyị na-arịọ gị ise. That was a prayer in the language of heaven. People are conniving everywhere they are gathering, like the leeches and blood-sucking demons that they are. Even those who never believed in us before, now they believe. Even those that made mockery of Eastern Security Network, now they are coming out and eulogizing that very noble outfit. Even those that cast aspersions in the past, today they are coming out to speak, or should I say, recommend ways in which their contributions could be incorporated into making ESN a more finer security outfit. But in all that we do, we are always number one. With the coming of ESN, we have made it abundantly clear to the whole world that we are not stepping back. We are only going to move forward, regardless of the obstacles we encounter, regardless of what men may try to do. We are going to march ceaselessly ahead and forward. And sometimes we get discouraged, and sometimes we get unduly perturbed by the actions of our enemies. I am unfazed. There is nothing the enemy does, be they those in Aso Rock, be they those in Whitehall in London, be they those somewhere in America. It doesn't matter where they're domiciled. Anything the enemy does doesn't faze me. Because always we focus our essence, our eyes, our attention on that promise that God Almighty in heaven made. Because God is not man. If Biafra doesn't come, then that means there is no God in heaven, because his word says that Biafra must come, and in our time, and it is happening before our eyes this very day. But before that, the zoo will be destroyed completely. Absolutely and totally. The zoo will be decimated. Somalia will be a better place. You watch. I said this thing in 2015, and it is happening today. Anything I say is gospel from heaven, a message meant for those who are living. And it is happening before our eyes today. There is no prayer, there is nothing I ask Elohim that he doesn't do for me. I said nothing. Because at the end of each prayer, I said to Almighty God in heaven, let thy will be done. Because you are God, we are mortals. There are things that you see that men cannot see. That is why you are God. And may your will be done upon our lives. I was praying long time ago, and I said to Elohim, look at all these people tormenting and killing your children. You must set example with them. And today, they are all dying one after the other. Those who are living are afflicted with illness. Or should I say illnesses of various kinds. Go and ask them. At the end of this very process, Biafra will come. And when Biafra comes, your children will worship God Almighty in heaven, not any idol. You will not worship. I say it openly to the hearing of the world. We are not like other races. We are different from other people. We are God's chosen people. We may be residing in Africa right now, in West Africa, in a part of a damnable zoological republic. But all in all, we are the light of the world. And we must proclaim it. That is exactly what we are going to do today. A lot of things are happening in the zoo that I don't even know where to start from or where to end, but I will attempt to bring a semblance of reason and understanding to the discourse bedeviling the zoo today. And what do I mean by that? It's because we don't learn. As I have lamented, it's a good thing to see that most writers these days in the zoo, they go back, they listen to our broadcast, and they come back. And they begin to write very glowingly about, should I say, what they are passing through at the hands of the Janjaweed. But one thing struck me as I was reading, as I always do. I'm an avid reader of what is happening in the zoo. Something struck me that it is only the Fulani people who don't actually own any land at all in the zoo, because they're not indigenous to the country. And another thing that actually struck me is that two sets of people have actually conquered indigenous people in Nigeria. One from the north and one from the south, from the sea. They all came with their own religion. Very, very interesting. You know, as I was reading, it struck me that the first people to actually lift arms to conquer people in Nigeria were the Moors, which is a mongrel race, a mixture of black people of northern West Africa, the northern parts of West Africa, and the Arab slave raiders in those days that gave birth to races like the Moors, not the Tuaregs, the Moors, and now you have the Fulani as part of them. They came to conquer. They conquered the Hausa people. I'm sure you've heard this many times, but I have to say it again. So you have to try, so you can actually absorb the essence of what I'm trying to, this very knowledge that we are trying to impart into some of you this evening, morning, afternoon, night, depending on where you are. And from the south came Britain with their Bible. From the north, they came with the Quran. From the south, they came with their Bible. Britain. These are two foreign aliens. And the most important thing that people must realize is that these are the two people conniving today to hold us down in perpetual bondage. I want every indigenous Nigerian, so to speak, to listen to me very carefully. Two people came to conquer you. Only two of them. Hausas never moved until the Fulanis came. The very proud Habe monarchies of the Hausa kingdoms of the north. I don't think that Kanu Bono tried to expand more than it is today, the Kanu Bono Empire. And one of the reasons why I like Kanuri people, not Abakari, because Abakari was a Shua Arab, not Kanuri. A proud Kanuri man can never support evil. This is the history that some of you don't know about, that I'm telling you this evening. An average Kanuri man doesn't support oppression, does not support evil. So we should stop tagging everybody from even the Janjaweed Corn North as Fulani, because they're not. And I'm not saying that the whole of Fulani people are bad, of course, far from it. There are sensible ones amongst them. Nobody's saying that all Fulani people are bad. Such, sweeping generation or debate, no, not at all. So there are bound to be one or two good people amongst them. But what we're saying is that the majority are simply awful. Awful in the sense that they came into our land from the foothills of the Futajalon. They conquered the Hausa people. They imposed their brand of, should I say, a strain of Wahhabi in their Islam, all this whole Sharia nonsense and all the rest of it. They took over the North, they took over the Hausa lands, and from there they came into the Wagi people, the Afamai, all the rest of them in the north, they took over. No problem. Somebody came from the south as well. They are called the British. A land of very immensely intelligent and conscientious people. As I keep saying all the time, Englishman in the main is a nice human being. Conscientious. They were the ones who stopped slavery. They actually had to come to Africa to stop us from selling ourselves. English people. They are the ones that founded the east coast of America, that said no to slavery. Slaves were running away from the south and coming to the north, where, of course, English value system predominated. They believed in freedom. But there were some pirates, so to speak, that came from England. They came from the south. The only thing is that they came with their guns and their sword. They also had the Bible with them. I wouldn't call it the Bible, but I'll call it the New Testament. They brought it with them as they were coming. The same people that said to us, "Thou shalt not kill," were the ones killing us, to force us to become the way they want us to become, after cutting us away as slaves for over 200 years. I want people to pay attention to this lecture this evening. Very, very critical, very, very crucial. There are two people, or there were two people that came into Nigeria. Before they came, every indigenous community were living peacefully. Nobody knew who was a minority or who was a majority, especially in the east, in Biafra land where we come from. The Igbo people never attempted to conquer the Ibibio people because they recognized that they are one, the same blood, the same family. Instead, in Bende, where I come from, we had to go and borrow, no, I wouldn't say borrow, we brought in Anan culture, which is Okonko and Ebe. And I think in Arochukwu, you even have Ekan in Arochukwu as well. These are the things that I want people to pay very close attention to appreciate the enormity of the disaster confronting each and every one of us. The enormity of the disaster confronting each and every one of us. Because we are live and direct and the whole world is listening. The world is listening. We are live and we are direct. Do you know that these people came? Fulanese took over the north. Britain took over the south. Lugard continued to march to the north. When Lugard met them in the north, this is something that people do not know. Lugard decided to introduce indirect rule. Do you know how and why Lugard introduced indirect rule? Because the reason why some of you, I was fascinated. I've been doing this research for years. I finished it today. I kept asking myself, why was it possible that Britain came with the Bible, told us about the love of Jesus Christ, but preferred to work with Muslims killing Christians? I never understood it until it struck me. It was Lugard, the people that taught Lugard how to, should I say, conduct indirect rule are the Fulani people. Because the reason why Britain respects Fulani people, I wouldn't say respect, I would say admire them, is this. The Fulani people were fewer in number, but they were controlling the whole of the north. That included the Hausa people, the Gwari people, the Bachama people, the Birom people, the TV, everybody's there. So Lugard kept wondering, how is it possible that a few men, a handful of people with cattle, not that they're well educated, no, a handful of people with cattle, how was it possible that these people could dominate and subjugate all these large swathes of land? Then the answer came in the form of indirect rule. It was Fulani people that started indirect rule. When the Fulanis come, all they need to do is to install their emir or their, basically their emir or Sariki. No, Sariki I think is Hausa. Install their emir. Despite the fact that in a village or in a city in the north, in Hausa lands in those days, you will only find one Fulani emir and his council of about maybe 10 or a dozen Fulani people with their wives and their children. You will see them controlling millions of Hausa people. And there was no problem. Britain now said, okay, it is now possible for me to be, as Nnamdi, the district commissioner at the top, I now go and appoint warrant chiefs to be reporting to me. That was why it became possible to rule Black Africa, especially West Africa, with very few white men. Indirect rule, they called it. The first people to bring in indirect rule was Fulani Janjaweed. Because you have one Fulani man as the emir controlling millions of Hausa people. And they're all loyal to him. That was how indirect rule came in. So Britain now found a natural ally in Fulani people. A natural ally. And said, okay, despite the fact that they're moving cattle from place to place, these people who are fewer in number, but can control all this amount of people, they must be very clever. And I don't blame them. That was how British and the Fulani affinity, so to speak, metamorphosed into the total conquest you're witnessing today. Now, ask yourself this question. Is there any other country in the world where what is happening today in Nigeria could be happening and that nobody's saying anything about it? Remember, I told you many years ago, and I, as I'm always very fond of repeating, I said to you that the Fulani Janjaweed, they have over $30 billion in their war chest to keep Nigeria warm for their total domination. Some of you thought I was joking. Now, ask yourself this question. How come Bloomberg hasn't covered what is going on? How come CNN doesn't report the daily killings? Once in a while they say, oh, school children were abducted. After 4 or 5 hours, that news completely disappears. Have you asked yourself why Al Jazeera hasn't come to do an in-depth analysis or to investigate what is going on? Have you asked yourself why ABC, all these major global players in terms of media might and strength, why they have shunned Nigeria? Because they have been bought over. They even bought people, they not only bought over Facebook, they bought over the encryption of WhatsApp so that they can now listen to your messages when you are on WhatsApp or making a call with WhatsApp application on your smartphone. They sold it to the zoo because they have the money. $30 billion US. That is what they're using. I told you that that's what they have. Collectively, all the governors, all the ministers, they have been looting the central bank for years. Looting it for years. The money they were keeping it, of course they can buy houses in Dubai and all the rest of it. Yes. but they contribute to a fund. They contribute to a fund, what I call the fund of conquest. Because they understand one simple thing, as Britain advised them. Once you shut the ears of the world, once you suppress this news coming out of Nigeria, the world cannot do anything. Because for you to arouse the moral, the conscience of the world, they need to feed on information. Remember the Rohingya Muslims.